walk out to the show and fall out your door. We got that info for you. Touchdown on that plane and buy anything. More than just a podcast for you.
I'm going to pivot and we're going to do a baseline question. So the question is, what has the typical recruiting journey of a soccer player been like? And this is where I want you to highlight, what is it like pre-COVID? Because the next question, after you guys give the different perspectives for pre-COVID, the next question is where we get into the nitty-gritty of how specifically COVID has changed the recruiting journey. So again, the question is, what is the typical recruiting journey of a soccer player been like pre-COVID? Who wants to start? Look at y'all. Don't be shy. Curtis, you want to jump in?
Go ahead. Ahmad, you can go ahead and get this one. You can start.
Yeah, Ahmad's touched on it really well already.
Yeah.
So
pre-COVID journey looks like, and I guess, you know, for us guys, you know, we are in the day in the life every day, so to make sure it's in, you know, bottom shelf terms, so, you know, no one's getting missed. Excuse me. So pre-COVID, what's the journey look like? Somewhere between the ages of probably 11, when there are as many numbers on a soccer field as there can be, which is a full-size soccer game, 11 versus 11 players, and 13 or 14 coaches or team managers or club administrators start to have the conversation about what is the next step for your child to play soccer. I'm going to hit back just because that was a great point to hit. Assess the talent level of your child. So even at that point, I think it's a really good time just to think on it, because if you know your child is someone who is just someone who wants to play high school for Coach Nate, and when they're in high school, when they get to senior year, they're done and they want to go to UT Knoxville and just go to school, and they just want to go to Austin Peay State and go to school. That's fine. But if they say that they want something more, that's the time that they need to start building what that foundation looks like to be recruited. So between 11 and 13 or 14, you're having that conversation. If your team is good enough, then you're going to showcases sophomore or junior year, and that's around your 14, 15, 16 years old. Girls, and I know things are updating, and there are definitely things changing due to COVID, as well as with your name, image, and likeness. So a lot of policy change over the NCAA. But female players can commit as soon as sophomore year. Male players can commit as soon as junior year. So, I mean, that's right around that age. If you're good enough, get to a college showcase, get to an ID camp. I believe it or not, I've had a player who went to an ID camp at 12 years old because because she was good enough. And she actually got a look. She got it. So she was approached by a junior college coach, and the coach said, "I had no idea how old you are, but if you work on these, and these things, you'll be a shoo-in." So as long as, I guess the short way to put this is, as long as the level permits, expose them, get them in places they need to be seen. That's right.
I'm over here 11, like 10, 11. Holy cannoli.
There's a player that plays for me right now that is 12 years old and went to a college ID camp because she's that good. And even in nowadays now, right? If you Google search, 9-year-old elite soccer players, there are a bunch of names out there where players are getting looked at by Man U, those big buzzword names, right, in clubs, because they are phenomenal at that age group. So as long as they're, and I also believe that whatever sport you're playing, if the kid is good, he's good, she's good. Age does not denote a talent level. You can be just as talented at 9 as you can be as 19. I believe that. So, but on the journey, you expose them from 11 to 14, believe it or not, because that's the number of players that is the highest number of players that's going to play on the field. That's what the real game looks like at the adult age group. So you expose them. You identify those places you want them to be exposed. So if there are schools in Texas you want to be at, then what showcases are in Texas? So what high level coaches or the coaches that you want to, or at the schools that you want to be at are in Texas. If they're in Florida, not definitely not Mississippi. If they're in Ohio, you go there. And then from the 14 to 17 and 18, you are starting to ask, okay, what is going to set you apart on your college resume? What extracurriculars are you in? What's your GPA? Have you taken your ACT and SAT? Depending on where you are, SAT is probably more important out west. ACT more important to us. And then take it as many times as possible. I can tell you, everybody will not get a college scholarship. Everybody's journey is different, and everybody will not get not just a college scholarship, but definitely there will not be a large amount of athletes come from high school that will get an athletic scholarship. Looking at just the tip, I was like, I know this data is bad. 2%, you guys check me this, 2% of high school athletes get athletic scholarships in the NCAA. That's period. 2%. So it's already slim to none. So if you're going to if you want that to happen for your athletes, you need to be more detail oriented. Like all the stuff we've been hitting from that 14 to senior year, what's your top 5 schools junior year, what's your top 3 senior year, what's the ability level that you have, how are you going to match up with those that are at the program, and if you go to a showcase and the coach sees you at the showcase, they're going to reach you if they want you. Before COVID, I would have said, if they want you, they'll find you. After COVID, I say, if they want you, you'll reach out to them, you'll send them film. Because
don't jump ahead. Just don't jump ahead. Stay right here with pre-COVID. Don't jump ahead.
Yeah. So I know. But pre-COVID, we're in that 14 to 16 age range. You're identifying tournaments to get. You're putting film together. This is so near precious to me because it happened to me. Before COVID, when I was a youth soccer player, my parents are so dear and precious. They built brochures. They got on the Microsoft 96 app and they typed up every little tournament we were. Yes, they did. And they typed up every little tournament, every little accolade, right? And they printed it out and they went to Office Depot and Kinko's and they printed out about 100 brochures. And James said that they went to the tournaments and gave out these brochures from field to field to field. And now it would have. Yeah. So it's
mom and dad.
Right. but that, that's what it took. And you had to format those. Man, it was tough to put pictures in Microsoft Word then. And you had to format those pictures because you had to take it on a Kodak camera, right? Upload it, put it on the document, and then trifold it yourself. So yes, there is a lot of footwork. I've heard it said the work needs to be done pre-COVID. Because like you said, the coaches are going to have the biggest bang for their buck, Curtis, coming to clubs. So if they have not mentioned your game, that might be a parent's one opportunity to give them an impression of their child. And you don't say, well, my child's been playing the defense and has never got a goal scored on them, or no, you don't put that. You put his GPA is this, because college coaches want to keep their jobs. The ACT is this because they want to know how much money, they may or may not have to come. They have limited funds. Position is good because they like any coach, you want to, you have certain spots that are good. You have you may have forwards stocked up. You may need defenders. You may want a midfielder because you have good forwards and defenders. So it all depends on need. But the best I think any parent could do before COVID is put their child out there when it's appropriate. Maybe don't make a brochure, but some way to highlight your child talents, and pass those things out. That probably happened at every college showcase, and it probably should have happened at every college showcase that you went to. And even before that, if you want the child to play college soccer and your club is not taking, or your club coach is not taking them to college showcases, then you need to go to another club, or you need to find another place to play because they won't have a chance to do that. I like how Nate hit that a college coach came to a high school game to watch a goalkeeper play based off relationship. And I don't mean to say that it will not happen at the high school arena, not level, at the high school arena. It is just that the biggest bang for your buck is where you can see the best talent in a large area with 500 different youth competing all at the same time in one weekend. So yes, it can happen anywhere. You definitely can, ask the principal to write a letter to Duke or UConn or UT Knoxville or Pima Community College, wherever it is you want to go. But you are going to find you're going to get the biggest bang, not just the coaches getting the biggest bang for their buck at the youth tournaments, but you are going to get the biggest bang for your buck when you expose your child to getting to those tournaments and then doing your own work, whether it be the Microsoft Word flyer, brochure, and passing information out about your child. And not just that, like you've been hitting, make phone calls to those universities. Another thing to have noted is coaches have restrictions on how much they can contact you in a weekly period. That's something to note. So, and I was reminded about that just last night, is that it can be frustrating that you reach out to a coach and they had not reached back out to you until next week. It's not because they're not interested. It's just that they can have so many contacts and they can only contact you in so many different ways. So that is by no means, a time for you to get in your feelings and feel some kind of way. It is just a result of the NCAA legislation and the result of a man or a woman trying to keep their job as a college coach. So wrapping all that up, showcases, expose your child, brochures, highlight videos and film through whatever means. Any film is better than no film because it gives a coach a starting place to have a conversation with you. And then reach out. Make sure you take those visits. You'll have official and unofficial visits. So this is when you've narrowed your 3 to 4 colleges down, your junior and senior year. Official visits will be when the college will sponsor you to come visit them. Unofficial visits are when you are in the area and you're going to visit your grandma and an auntie out in Illinois, and okay, this is a school I was interested in, Northwestern or Illinois Wesleyan. I wonder if we can come on campus for an unofficial visit. You let the coach. You might want to call the coach and let the coach know you'll be on campus, and then you let the college show you around. None of your expenses will be covered, but it will give you the opportunity to get a feel for the school, your family get a feel for the school, the social scene, fraternities, sororities, academics, et cetera, et cetera. So expose 11 to 14 if they're good enough to have an honest look at the talent level, if they're good enough to be exposed. Start having those conversations with coaches, whether by calling or giving them brochures out or letters out at showcases between 14 and 15, 16 to senior year. Take those visits. Official are better than unofficial visits because that is showing their direct interest in you as a player. This could have changed, but I think from being recruited, you can get at least 5 official visits. I didn't happen to take them all. I chose Bowling Green State. And that had a lot to do with getting the heck away from everything I knew, everybody I knew, and just wanted to see a different part of the world. The social scene was great. It had, it just had a different look, a different feel. It felt homey. It was smaller town. It had a game-a-thons that I could play at. It was a go. But had I not taken an official visit and had I not accepted the official visit, I would not have known they were interested. They got a brochure. We made phone calls. They certainly did. I think the coach still has to this day, I'm sure, because they got a few of them. But all of that stuff played a huge part in making a decision in the recruiting process for sure.
Okay, Curtis.
Jamesetta, I saw you get thrown off by the ages. So
Yeah.
I just want to help frame that for you real quick.
Yeah.
Whoa, 11!
Yeah. So, but here's the thing. Right now, all this chatter for our national team, for our men's national team, people going, these are the best players. These are the players that are going to bring us back to the World Cup, right? Because we didn't make it the last time. Going to bring us back to the World Cup, going to make us competitive in the World Cup. We're talking about guys like a 19-year-old named Conrad de la Fuente, who's at Barcelona, along with Serginho Dest. We're talking about an 18-year-old named Gio Reyna, who's playing at Borussia Dortmund and is not in his first season with the top-level team. You see what I'm saying? So, like, if you're going, it's my junior year, I should probably get someone to look at me. They're already professionals. 2 days ago, 2 days ago, this 17-year-old scored against Liverpool's top team for Aston Villa because it was his turn to show up. And so like the thing is, like, the game skews to a talented young base to see what they can do. I mean, years ago, he made like the Sports Illustrated cover and everything, but it was Freddie Adu. Everyone talked about Freddie Adu because he was the wonder kid, because he was 16. But now, like, we're used to seeing 16-year-olds, even in the US, that should be some of our front runners for positions for the top team that we offer as a nation to go compete against other nations. So see, how are you going to get known as a 16-year-old unless someone had some eyes on you when you were 11?
Oh, I'm outdone. I'm just amazed. Like, wow, that is super, super young.
But of course, that's your very small top of the pyramid elite.
That's no, just because you eat your Wheaties, Jamesetta, it's not going to happen for your 12-year-old. No, just there are cases like that. Yeah, there are cases.
I think about this from a parenting perspective, and some parents might be mad when I say this, but like every parent thinks they've got the next best, greatest. Like everybody is thinking that I have a Megan Rapinoe, I have a Messi. So like in my mind, I'm like 11 and I'm like, holy cow, that's a lot of pressure on your 11-year-old. Like, whoa, but for the soccer world, it's like business as usual. So I'm out there. And let's just be honest, my son, he played football. He played other sports. He did play soccer too, but his sport that he played in college was football. And football has rules. You have to be 3 years removed from high school before you can even consider being a professional. And so when I hear you guys like I guess in my brain up until this moment, I just assumed all the soccer players were in their 20s. I don't even know why. I just did. I just assumed they were all in their 20s. But so when you said 11 or 12, I was like, but for why? Like that can't be real. But now I have to go back and I have to relook at all the soccer players and their ages because it just like I'm honest. I was like, oh, they got to be 25-ish. And so no, they're not 25-ish. They're like 16, 17. They're babies. Oh my gosh, that's a lot.
Well, and another thing that's specific, in case you have feedback on this too, please chime in. But and I think they hit on this a little bit too. So our national teams, right? So we have national teams for those age groups specifically, starting at under 15. So where the United States, we have a men's basketball team that's in the Olympics, right? You got superstars like LeBron and D Wade's and Bosh and all of them in their time. And you might, and there was a time where you only pick college athletes. Well, those were young basketball players, but no, we have an under 15 United States national team that competes around the world. So how is it even possible to compete at that level if we are not pooling, and constantly reaching? I mean, yeah. So, and if that's a shock to you, don't go over to Brazil where at 9 the national team sees them, you snatch them off the streets, and they don't see their parents until they're on TV.
I'm so done. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
See,
so
this is why I do the show, because I know that there are other parents like me who are like, shut the front door.
Well, they're not taking my baby. Let's be clear, without mentioning notification. But it happens. Yeah, it definitely happens.
That is amazing to me. Holy cow! So,
well, here's the final thing on framing that. So Christian Pulisic is like the star of the U.S. men's national team right now. And everyone kind of sees him as this veteran player. He's 22. That's an NFL rookie. But he's 22. He wears the captain's armband a lot of the time. He is a veteran player. He has been a professional player for over 5 years.
That's right.
And so see, like, the framing's different. Also, I love when you keep saying football on this, like, I'm coming from the football world. That's also our sport.
American football.
Right, there we go. It just depends on who you're talking to. All my kids call it football.
It's the disrespect, Nate. It's the disrespect. Is what it
is. Like, you're talking about our sport.
Holy! So I have to say, wow. I'm gonna go. My son played soccer, he played football. And it was his sport that he played to, like, it was our no pressure sport. And so
Mhm.
I've watched it. I'm just got to go back and look at it with a wholly different eye, because I'm like, well, dang it. I just thought all those babies were like college age, and they're not. They look young, not because they're eating the right food and taking care of their bodies. They look young because they are young. And so this part is
Mhm.
really, I have to say, even living in Europe, I mean, really, it just, this just throws me. I'm like, they're really literal babies, and just the amount of pressure. And so now I'm understanding the conversations. Like I have my soccer moms that come to me and they're like, well, my baby's like 13 and we aren't getting in and we're not on this club. And I'm like, oh girl, it'll be fine. It's all right. You'll be okay. And now I can go back. They've probably been like, she's really callous and has no idea what she's talking about. And so now I can go back with a different understanding and be more empathetic,
Fine.
because for football, the original football, 13 and no looks, no idea, that's a really, really big deal. Whereas for American football, I'm like, whatever.
It's
Growth spurts, all kinds of things happen in high school.
right.
So this has been like
Mhm.
very eye-opening.
If
Very
if I could add, yeah, if I can add, yeah, a lot of times you'll get some. I'm not going to say snotty, but you'll get some very confident coaches. Like our Curtis said, you have great A licensed coaches and bad A licensed coaches, but you'll get a lot of coaches saying that if they're not at a certain level at 13, it's too late. They can't play at the next level. And I think that's right, very popular stereotype. A lot
Right.
I've had a lot of coaching licenses in the past, and where the instructor would say they played at the University of Connecticut, but they're very open to teaching, and they're open to teaching coaches how to teach the right way, because she was one of those rare cases that got serious about it at 13.
Mhm.
So and not that you have to be, not that our game requires that all children to be complete Manchester United fans at 7 or 9. That's not at all, but they definitely have to have some exposure to what we call fundamentals or foundations or principles of playing, principles of attack and defense. Can you pass? Can you shoot? Can you kick the ball properly? Do you understand the fundamentals of the game to be able to build and blocks opponent next
My whole brain is just spinning. But I'm gonna move us along because I don't want to derail us.